The car is doing nothing remarkable. It is circling a baking Spanish racetrack at a crawl, holding station behind a delta time, its tires going off, its driver saying almost nothing. On the timing screens, it sits second, behind two silver cars that have not lost a race all year. And in the Ferrari pit wall, a decision is forming that will either win this Grand Prix or throw it away completely. A voice comes onto the radio, calm, almost gentle. Box, box. And for one suspended second, before the car turns in, before anyone knows whether this is genius or disaster, the whole thing hangs in the air. A 41-year-old man, a red car he has waited his entire life to drive, and one last roll of the dice under a virtual safety car. To understand why that second matters so much, you have to go back. Not hours, years. 686 days, to be exact. That is how long it had been since Lewis Hamilton last won a Formula One race, the longest drought of his career. He had left Mercedes, the team he made history with, and walked into Ferrari in 2025, carrying the weight of being the most successful driver the sport had ever produced, and for a whole season, the red car fought him. The results did not come. The doubt did. People who had watched him win 7 world titles began, quietly, to wonder if the story was simply over. He heard all of it. He has spoken since about what that period did to him. Not just the lack of trophies, the loss of something deeper. He used a strange phrase. He said his mission was to remember who he was, as if somewhere in the noise of the last few years he had misplaced it. So he went away. After Christmas, he trained harder than he ever had in his life. By his own account, harder than at any point in 20-something years of racing. He spent his time with the people who knew him before any of the fame. The family. The few real friends. The ones who never once doubted him. And he made a change most people never noticed. A new race engineer. A man named Carlos Santi in his ear. On the radio for every lap of every weekend. A new voice for a driver trying to find an old self. He came back to the paddock different, lighter, hungrier. But hunger does not win races. Cars win races. And nobody yet knew if this one could. Now, the morning of the 14th of June, Barcelona is on fire. Not literally. But the track temperature is climbing past 50 degrees before the cars have even formed up. Rubber that should last 20 laps will be cooked in 12. The tires are softer this year than last. Everyone in the paddock knows the same thing. This race will be decided by who can survive the heat, and nobody is certain how. The day before, Hamilton had pulled something out of the air in qualifying. A single lap in the dying seconds, good enough for the front row second, right alongside his former teammate, George Russell, on pole in the silver Mercedes. Behind them, the young Italian, Kimi Antonelli, the teenager who had taken Hamilton's old seat at Mercedes, who led the entire World Championship, and who had already won more races this season than anyone expected a rookie to win in a lifetime. That was the grid. The past, the present, and the future, lined up in 3 rows. There's a memory Hamilton carries that he would talk about after this race. He is 12 years old. He is on a couch in Stevenage, a plate of food on his lap. Something simple, a sandwich maybe, chicken noodle soup, and he is watching a man in a red car win Grand Prix after Grand Prix for Ferrari, Michael Schumacher. And the boy on the couch is looking at that red cockpit and wondering, with the kind of ache only a child can feel, what it would be like to sit inside it. 30 years later, almost to the day, that boy is on the second row of the grid, in a red car. The cockpit, he would joke afterward, painted white instead of Ferrari red, one of his very few complaints. He had been chasing that seat his entire life. He just had to win in it. The lights go out. Russell leads. Hamilton, starting on the softer tire, cannot find a way through on the opening lap and settles into second. And for a long stretch of this race, that is exactly where he stays. Watching the silver cars waiting, because Ferrari has not chosen the safe race. Almost everyone else is planning to stop once, maybe twice. Ferrari has gambled on three. 3 stops, more time in the pit lane, more time lost, all of it bet on one idea. That fresh tires in this furnace will be worth more than track position. It is a strategy that only works if the race comes to you. And then, slowly, it does. McLaren blinks first, pitting Lando Norris, forcing Mercedes to react. Russell pits, Antonelli pits, and in the shuffle, the lead falls, for the first time, to the red car. A buffer of around 16 seconds opens up. For the first time all afternoon, Hamilton is in front and pulling away. But Ferrari knows the truth. He has to stop again, one more time, and a normal stop at racing speed would hand the lead straight back. They need something, a gift. They get 2. Fernando Alonso, racing at his home Grand Prix in front of his own crowd, pulls his wounded car off the circuit and retires. A virtual safety car is called. The entire field must slow to a crawl. And in that window, when a pit stop costs almost nothing, the call comes. Box, box. This is the second from the very beginning. This is the gamble. He turns in. Fresh, hard tires go on. He rejoins, and for a heartbeat, the gap to Russell is under 3 seconds. Nothing. One mistake from being swallowed. And then those fresh tires bite. Almost on cue, the second Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, loses his power steering and limps out of the race. A second virtual safety car, a second freeze. And by the time the track goes green again, the gap is simply too big. The silver cars have nothing left for the heat. The red car has everything. Then, with 4 laps to go, the championship leader breaks. Antonelli, running second, chasing, coasts to a halt on lap 62 of 66. His engine gone, his afternoon over, his title lead cut to pieces in a single afternoon. There is now clear air in front of Lewis Hamilton, and a checkered flag at the end of it, and nothing at all in the way. He crosses the line nearly 20 seconds clear. Behind him, Russell second, Norris third, the first time 3 British drivers had shared a Formula One podium since 1968. If you have ever waited a long time for one thing, and you know the strange silence that comes when it finally arrives, then you already understand the radio in that final lap. Before you watch the rest of this, take a second to follow the channel, because the quiet moments before the loud ones are the whole reason this place exists. Here is what that flag actually meant. It was his 106th win, a record that was already his, stretched further out of reach. It was his first in Ferrari red, the seat he had dreamed about since he was 12. It made him the oldest man to win a Grand Prix since Jack Brabham in 1970. And it made him something no human being had ever been before. Hamilton won his first race in 2007 in Canada. In only his 6th start, a 22-year-old kid leading almost from start to finish. He won through his 30s 6 world championships, a tally of victories so vast it rewrote the record books. And now, at 41, he had won again. In his 20s, in his 30s, in his 40s, no driver in the 75-year history of Formula One had ever done that. Not Fangio, not Schumacher, not Senna, not one of them. Only him. And here's the part the highlight reels leave out. It did not fix everything. When the celebrations faded, when the red car cooled in the garage, Lewis Hamilton was still 41 points behind in the championship, still chasing. The win did not make him the favorite. It did not guarantee an 8th title. It guaranteed nothing at all except that on one scorching afternoon in Spain, against the silver cars and the clock and the doubt of an entire sport, the boy from the couch had sat in the red cockpit and won. Sometimes that is all a moment is. Not the end of a story, just proof that you were still in it. So, Go back to that suspended second. The crawling car, the voice on the radio, box, a 41-year-old man, and one last roll of the dice. The car was doing nothing remarkable. The man inside it was doing something no one ever had. History happens in the hours.